All right, the marshes of South Louisiana have been super salty, but the bass seem to be making a bit of a comeback. Let's see if we can find some today, or if we just bump into specks and reds. All right, I'm starting with a bait that's not really a bass bait, not in a traditional sense, but I just know that it's super productive this time of year. It's a green hornet matrix shad on a 1/4 ounce death grip jig head. The good thing with this bait is everything hits it. So even if we don't run across any bass, we should catch some specks and reds on it, hopefully, if we can find any of those. All right, I made a move, coming to an area with some really nice water. The water in that bayou that I just left was really brown. It was clear, but it was brown. This is green water the way it's supposed to be. So I'm gonna make a few casts with this Zimmer Swimmer. If there's a bass anywhere around, it'll bite this thing. Ooh, oh, that was a bite. That was a bite. He spit it before I set, though, definitely. There's one. There's one. What are you? I don't know what you are. You're looking like a trout. Nope, you're a bass. There we go. Not a big one, but a bass. It's good to see. Whew, look at that. Look how barely hooked he was. Zimmer Swimmer, I love it. This is just a high confidence bait for me. For these marsh bass, they just love this thing. Really, not just marsh bass. I call it inland bass on this thing as well. The key to this bait, without question, are these ribs. When you move it through the water, every time you pick it up, you feel it vibrating. Must be some grass up there. There's a couple of gallinule feeding. Gotta be dipping on some kind of grass. Oh, you dirty dog. Look at that, he got my tail. What was that? Was he just a little bass? Who knows? Ooh, there's one. Ooh, that's either a good bass or a red. I think it's a bass. Tell you what, he's not all that big. He's not bad, but how he fought, I thought he was a giant. All right, sight for sore eyes. So good to see these guys. That fish was right at that Trenasse mouth. Just a great place for a fish to be on a falling tide. Man, look how beautiful it is out here. Just an absolutely beautiful day. Every now and then we get a little gust of wind, but basically it's flat calm. Just beautiful day. Easy to fish today. Oh, goodness. Wow. How do you hit that hard? Oh, a flounder. Look at this, a flounder. That's how you hit so hard. You're a flounder. All right. That's the first flounder I've caught in a minute. On the Zimmer Swimmer. Hoo-hoo-hoo. Now, he's not the biggest flounder, but he's stuffable, and I love these fish, so I'm going to keep him. Flounder season is once again open in Louisiana. Now I'm feeling like an idiot for not throwing the Zimmer Swimmer at the other stop. But, you know, when you're fishing solo, you can only throw one bait at a time. Although I wish I'd given this a try. You never know. Were there not fish there? Did they just not want what I was throwing? Probably there weren't fish there, because green hornet matrix shad is deadly this time of year. Even though that water wasn't the best color. Absolutely amazing how hard flounder hit. They seem like such lazy, docile fish. And man, when they hit a bait, whew, it's a jolt up the line. Love them. Absolutely love them. This is my favorite time of year to fish these marsh bass. Now, I'm not expecting it to be a phenomenal year just because of the high salinity of the marsh this year. But what I look for are these skinny but kind of deep, winding bayous. And by deep, I mean at least 3.5, 4 feet in the bends, preferably 5.5, 6 feet in the bends. And what I really like are these outside bends that have the steep drop-offs. Like, I will cast to these inside bends, no question, but some of them are real sloped. Not all of them. Some of them have kind of a little bit flat slope and then they fall off. But some are just real slow and lazy. Just kind of ignore those. But really, I focus on these outside bends. That's where I feel like you get most of your bites. Those fish just sit there right on those walls. You know, it's almost like a bluff bank underwater. They throw up real close to the grass and just kind of walk it down. It's just a really fun style of fishing and that I really enjoy. And you catch a variety of fish. I mean, typically I'm doing this targeting bass, but I catch red, specks, obviously flounder, sometimes white trout, you name it. All kind of stuff lives in these marshes. If you're a local, you know that. And I'll tell you this, I'll give you a big hint. My favorite bayous are the ones where you have to cross shallow water to get into them, because most people won't do it. So if you have to blow across a pond or something like that to get to the bayou, it's gonna have more fish than one that's readily available to deeper water, because those are gonna get pounded. And I do fish some like that, believe me, I definitely do. You can catch fish in them, but I just like these better. And normally an essential ingredient for catching these bass is submerged aquatic vegetation, like hydrilla or milfoil, or even eelgrass, but there's not a whole lot of that around this year at all. The saltwater killed it all. So if you can find a bayou that has some grass, whew, it's gonna be full of fish, I would imagine. This one is not full of grass. It does have a little bit, but not much at all. I could easily fish an exposed hook in here. I do have this Zimmer Swimmer Texas rig, but probably don't need it to be. I haven't talked to many duck hunters, but I'm guessing you guys are singing the blues this year because of the lack of vegetation. I know from fishing the marshes that I really haven't seen a ton of ducks. Seen some today in fact, but just not like you'd normally see in December in South Louisiana. So if you're a duck hunter, comment in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. You don't have to say where you're hunting. I don't care. I'm just curious as to whether or not you're seeing any ducks at all, or enough to hunt or not, or what kind of years have been for you. I used to be a fanatical duck hunter, but actually got burned out on it. I'd hunt probably 30 or 40 days a season and just had my fill, which it's weird. I don't know why. And I still enjoy seeing them. I love coming into the marsh and seeing ducks. Love it. But I just prefer to fish this time of year. Fishing is just so good. Ooh, there he is. Boy, did he tag it. That's gotta be a red. That's gotta be a redfish. It sure is. Adding to the variety of the day, and a beautiful red too. Not size-wise, but spot-wise. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side, and just the traditional 1 on that side on the Zimmer Swimmer. All right, these still have to be 16 inches, so let's see if he is. I think he probably is. It's gonna be close though. All right, we put a tag in this beautiful thing, now we're gonna let him go. That's on the beginning of this outside bend. You can see, typically right behind these points, you'll have a steep drop off right as it begins to become an outside bend. Another one on that side over there. I'll definitely hit that on the way out, but I'll make a few more casts right here. Might be some more fish here, we'll see. The marshes are full of those little reds this year. They're absolutely everywhere. Almost can't help but bump into them, no matter what you're targeting. The ones I've been catching, I'd say, are 50-50. Keepers to throwbacks. Size limit in Louisiana is still 16 inches. And you get to keep 5 of them if they're over 16, but only 1 over 27. Oh, he robbed me blind. That had to be a red. He was way out here. Probably another red about that size. Probably had the bait right behind the hook, right here. When I set the hook, it just pulled everything off. Ooh, there he is. Another bass. All right. Boy, did he tattoo it. That's a good fish, too. That's a good marsh bass. Big fatty. I mean, not a giant, of course. You catch this inland, you call it a dink, but not here in the marsh. A few of the details I probably forgot to mention. I'm fishing this Zimmer Swimmer on a 4/0 extra wide gap hook. I got it under a 1/4 ounce tungsten bullet weight. The leader is 15-pound soft steel fluoro, and the main line is 30-pound braid. That 1/4 ounce is plenty in here. Looks like the deepest part of this bayou is 8 feet, but most of it's even less than that. Most of these bends are just 6.5 feet, and the tide's not really rolling at all. It's not moving a ton, moving a little bit, falling, which I prefer by far. And water temp is 59 degrees, which is awesome. Everything bites in 59-degree water. Upper 50s, low 60s, that's about prime for this style of fishing, I mean. Ooh. Oh, goodness. Another bass. I see him. Just as good as it gets. So glad to see these guys. Man, almost didn't get you. Hooked you outside the mouth. Probably had this Zimmer Swimmer sideways like this and just hooked him outside the mouth. But we got him. This is such a fun style of fishing. I really hate to leave these fish biting, but I got no choice. And plus, this season's just getting started. These fish are gonna bite like this all the way through at least February. So many more opportunities to do this. Love this time of year. Bait of the day, obviously, Candy Bug Zimmer Swimmer. Everything that swims in the marsh loves this bait. Didn't catch any trout on it today, kind of unusual. Probably just weren't any around here, but I know trout attack this thing as well. And obviously redfish and flounder do as well. Such a great trip. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Also subscribe to the Marshman Masson channel on YouTube. You can do that by clicking that button right there. Also, here's 2 videos that YouTube thinks you like. Check those out. And until next time, if we don't see you in this beautiful marsh, I'm sure we will, we'll see you right here on Marshman Masson.